Welcome to the Frazzle podcast. And today I'm thrilled to have Lucy Kenefick join me from NuMe Collective to talk about probably one of the biggest components of our well-being, which is food. We're going to talk about gut health, what it actually means, and we're going to talk about small habits that we can build to manage our energy and stress. So, Lucy, welcome.
Hi, Aoife. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thank you for having me. This is
My
exciting.
God, thank you so much for joining us. You have such a wealth of information in the health and fitness and nutrition space. So I'm so excited to kind of get into the protein, the gut health, all the things that we keep hearing about, and
Yeah.
kind of breaking that down and understanding what we can do to make small changes to manage our energy.
Mm.
But before we get into that, tell us a bit about you and how you got into this kind of well-being space.
Yeah, great question. I'm in the fitness industry about nearly 14 years. Prior to that, I was just doing my own training and whatnot, but I actually bought into the industry and opened a gym 14 years ago,
Wow.
in Cork City. So I'm very proud to say we are still here through recessions and pandemics and life curveballs and whatnot. So yeah, over that 14 years, obviously I've been very much about moving well, moving strong, feeling good about yourself. Maybe in my early 30s, a bit more on the aesthetic side of things.
Yeah.
But I suppose as I've grown, become a mum and, stepped into a parent role as well as, an aging woman heading into
Hmm.
her mid 40s, my whole outlook has changed as well on how I treat my body. And then in the latter years, I got very much involved in our food and how our food actually is a massive healing tool. How we can look after ourselves so much better if we are just a bit more knowledgeable about our nutrition. And how then we can pair that with good movement and looking after ourselves essentially for now, but more importantly for the future. I think that we're all very good at living in the moment, or maybe living in the past, but we're not very good at thinking about the future.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary and we don't want to, but to be able to kind of set ourselves up, it's important now that we get a good base on our nutrition now, so that when we're in our 60s, 70s, 80s, that we're just a bit more independent.
Hmm.
We have the energy for then, but we're just putting our best foot forward now, setting a good baseline essentially.
And I love that because I turned 40 this year, and it is only now that I am starting to think,
Oh,
okay, what, yeah,
yeah.
okay, I can see kind of people around me aging, their health not in the best shape.
Mm.
And do you know what it was? My friend's mother, and she's like super granny, and I was picking up my little boy, and she was picking up her grandson, and he was climbing all over her. She was picking him up, and I looked at her and I said, you know what, goals. Like I want to be
You're grand.
her when I'm a
Yeah.
granny. Like that is my why. I want to be that person that can play with my grandkids.
And that's so cool that you have a Wi-Fi. A lot of people don't, and they're just not aware.
Yeah.
But it's good to have something that's my future health goal is to be able to play with grandchildren, That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But I never really cared about that before until I
Mm.
started I don't know about turning 40, but you kind of start thinking about, okay, the
There's
next stage of your life.
There's this term, I must look it up afterwards. I can't remember it now, but it's like, at certain stages of your life, you're more aware of certain things. So maybe in our 20s, it's kind of like we're still working out who we are and kind of identifying our personality and the groups that we want to be in and who we want to surround ourselves with. Then your 30s, personally for me, anyway, was more about, finding a partner. So it's all about weddings or having children. You see kids everywhere and you just become
Yeah.
really aware and heightened. I think now in our 40s, it's definitely, as you say, that kind of shift to, oh, that person's looking a little bit older than I can remember, or I'm not able to do something that I could do as comfortably, or I ache a little bit more now than I used to ache before. Or the big one is like, I used to not get hangovers, now I get them all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of going, okay, my body isn't just this kind of
I'm not as
vessel, it's a
resilient.
machine that I
Yeah,
need
I'm
to
not as
like,
resilient as I used to be.
yeah, yeah.
And that's,
And
and that's very normal, and people need to know that. That's very normal. But it's what we can do to help ourselves I suppose, minimize that shock to the system, and also then keep the system tipping over as well as possible for the future.
Yeah, because as well as so I have two kids, you have two kids, so
Mhm.
6 and 4. And I'm similar, I'm like 3 and 6. But there's the motherhood depletion as well, right? It's what we've gone through, what our bodies have gone through if you have
Yeah.
kids. And we are more tired. We're like looking after these people who don't always sleep properly. So there's that as well. There's the, okay, I'm not performing the way I was before in terms of my energy and what I can do. And we're like catching up with our bodies in a way.
Yeah, and then mentally that impacts on you as well, because when you're constantly tired, that fatigue, it dampens your mood, and then you're just a little bit less positive and peppy about things, and it has a massive knock-on effect, and it can impact on your day-to-day relationships, your attitude towards your food, not having the same energy to care. You're just like, oh, just give me anything. I'm hungry, I'm tired, I don't care. And
Yeah.
it builds. It's like a slow snowball, and it gets bigger and bigger, and then it can cause quite a problem. And unfortunately for us women, when we get to this kind of stage of life, there's going to be another change to our bodies, and
Yeah.
how our hormones are going to react, and how our bodies will react to hormone shifts. And we're also different. It's very unique to each woman. But it's kind of, as I said, having that baseline now to try and lessen that impact as much as possible, because we can't stop it. It's just part of I suppose, the advantages of aging. If you do get the chance to live a long life, that you live it as well as possible.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just kind of identifying what you can do now. And one of the big things I advocate for Aoife is they have to be small, manageable, sustainable changes and
Yeah.
shifts. Gone are the days of, these radical diets and these radical, Monday morning I'm going to be a new woman and I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to be fabulous. And then on Monday morning you have had a bad sleep and someone's sick, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh God, I'll start again next Monday.
Yeah.
So
Monday, the worst
yeah,
day in the week. And you're like, I'm gonna implement all this change. But and there's so many things that you touched upon there. And if we go back to what you said about the 30s, and like for me, my relationship with food, and a lot of us as women, if you said it was about the aesthetics, how we look. And for me, if I'm honest, I would have been the same. Food was always about weight management.
it's
And
probably a number. So you're looking at your food in terms of calories, and oh, if I can have 200 calories there for that size, but I can have 400 or 100 calories for double the amount, I'll have the 100 calories, but not understanding the actual importance of the quality of the food.
and not really caring about food. It was just, and actually more pronounced in my 20s. You'd be making the egg white omelets to reduce the calorie, and all the things where you were just so obsessed about being thin. And I'm finding that after having kids, I didn't have the headspace to be so obsessed about it. So that kind of helped a bit. But when you do gain weight, you kind of go back into that headspace of, okay, I'll be good with my food, or I'm being bold here, which is
Yeah, it's the
so
terminology,
negative.
isn't it? Yeah. And
And
it's putting food on a pedestal, and then if you don't do it as you should do it, or you used to do it, then you failed.
yeah,
Or if you have an extra bit of chocolate, or you have a weekend of pizza and wine and crisps and cheese, that all of a sudden you've done it all wrong, and you kind of, I suppose, you scold yourself, or you go into a negative spin.
yeah. And then you're off the wagon then, and you just kind of go, well, I'll just leave it off. I'll just keep eating, drinking the wine and eating the crisps.
Yeah.
And it's for me, what I'm trying to shift my mindset is that food isn't just a thing that makes you fat. This is actually fuel
Yeah.
that can, not only manage your energy and stress now, but as you just spoke about, future proof us for, like, for me, perimenopause and menopause is around the corner. And then just aging, and being that healthy granny that plays with my
Yeah.
grandkids if my children decide to have
Yeah.
kids. But so it's the mindset shift really, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's not easy. It's not easy,
No.
and especially we've had 20, 30 years of, you know, being told a certain diet is the right way to do it, and you should look a certain way, and you should train a certain way, and it's really scary. It's hard and
Yeah.
it's overwhelming. And when we get this overwhelmed, we kind of freeze and then we don't know
Yeah.
what to do. And that did happen to me. So I know everything I do and I advocate for and I help my clients with, I have been through
Mm.
myself, you know. Um, and I'm very happy to say I came out the other end with a much better attitude towards my food.
Okay.
This under eating kind of
Yeah.
idea, or that everything is a treat or a bad food. And just as you said, that mindset has to take a long time, but you have to, I suppose, give yourself that kind of freedom to play with it, to
Yeah.
experiment, to understand that what maybe works for your friend isn't necessarily going to work for you, but being, I suppose, at least, and I would say courageous to a certain extent to try new things.
Yeah.
Because we are busy. Everyone is busy. There's no
Mm.
one who doesn't have something that they're rushing to do, or a big long list of jobs that has to be completed. But it's more about prioritizing yourself and that things do, and I suppose getting the education and support to help you, because it's too easy to say I don't have time, and it's too easy to say, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I'll do it another day. Whereas I think now we have to start telling ourselves, I'm worth it. I
Yeah.
need to understand this. I need to put my health first. I need to put my wellness first, my physical health, my mental health. And then to do all the mum things, to do all the partner things, to do all the jobs, to, turn up at work, do what's expected of you there, then get in your car and do all the jobs, run around
Yeah.
town, dropping people everywhere, go home, do the washing, do the cooking, you know? So, but if we don't have the energy for ourselves, we're not going to have the energy for anybody else. And
And
that's
that's
what,
it's the permission mindset, isn't it? I'm actually going to give myself permission to figure this out, to
and it's not
stop.
selfish, Aoife. It's not selfish. I
It's
cannot
not.
say that enough.
It's and
You're
this
not a
and
bad
this
person if you want to do something for yourself.
but it's just everything you just said there. When you look after yourself, and you know the term, you put your own oxygen mask on first before
Mhm.
anyone else's, which feels unnatural if you're on a plane and it's going down to put the mask on yourself first. You'd want to put it on your child. But if you don't put the oxygen mask on, you're no good to anyone. So but we need to
Also, I
drill that
think,
message.
yeah, I know the message, but I think also maybe I could be wrong, but I get this feeling from when I work with women. There's that social stress and pressure as well, that if you do something that's not the norm, then
Mm.
you're deemed selfish, or you're not doing, you're not conforming. And I think that pressure is always there, that I have to do it a certain way because everyone else is.
Yes.
Um, and it's giving yourself the permission, but also the freedom to not care. And that's the really hard part, is the not caring part.
That's
Um,
hard.
yeah,
Yeah. And I do think the older you get, the easier that does become. But
yeah.
there's a lot in that to it is reprogramming how the message that we are getting from society and the
Mhm.
reward we get from productivity and being busy but when you actually slowly just stop and figure out what you want and put yourself first, like when you say no to something, you're saying yes to you. But this is hard, right? It's baby steps, it's
We
boundaries.
hear it, but we don't still want to do it. It's not built into us.
No,
Especially
it's not.
Irish women, I think, more so.
But we've been conditioned to just get on with it and to look after everyone else before ourselves.
Yeah.
So and it's baby steps. It's if we're talking about, so let's just say I come to you as a client
Mhm.
and I know that my relationship with food isn't great and I need to start making slow changes. Because we hear what we're bombarded with is the protein, right? We need more protein
Oh yeah.
and gut health. Like they're the two things I hear all the time. So I know I need to have better gut health. I know I need to have more protein, but what does that actually mean? Like, how
Yeah.
do we kind of break that down?
Hmm. So, and that this is what I find, or on the other hand, I have women who think they're doing it right, and they have the great understanding. It's just not enough. So it's either don't know where to start, or I'm doing it, but I'm just not doing it as much as I need to. So yeah, I always have a very frank and honest conversation with women when I start working with them. When I do, there's no judgment, there's no right or wrong. This is where you are in your life right now and how we can work to build out a better, I suppose, routine, build out a better understanding, but most importantly, layer that with education.
Mhm.
Um, I've done programs myself in the past as a client. I've done them with my own clients. And if I just tell people what to do and I don't explain why, it's not going to last. So the education and knowledge piece is really important. Because then you can bring that forward into the rest of your life and you can say, oh yeah, that makes sense because, and then when you start practicing it, you start feeling it and you start
Yeah.
feeling it, you're like, okay, it does actually work.
Yeah.
So, initial conversation is always going to be about food. No matter who you are, what you do, we all have to eat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all choose to move differently. Exercise is very different for people, but food has to be the bedrock.
Yeah.
So we break down, I suppose, how we look at our food. Food at the end of the day is essentially fuel. And I know
Mhm.
a lot of people say, oh, food is comfort. It is. All the other things as well. But if we don't eat, we won't survive. So we
Yeah.
have to make sure we're eating the right amount of food and then the right type of food. So quality and quantity. That's got warped, especially in this day and age now with how convenience foods have come on stream so much and portion and sizing is completely warped from what it used to be. You look at the share bags now that all the kids are having, and they're having them themselves. A share bag is
Yeah.
a share bag.
Yeah.
It's all got so warped. So I just have a chat with clients about their portions, their quality and their
Mm.
quantity. And then we run through their average day and we look to see how we can make a couple of swaps, a couple of
Yeah.
changes, a couple of additions. Um, some people need more than others, but we do it very much in a step by step. I don't take a radical, like follow this template. I give them the information, I build it out with them and how things might look down the line, but we do it on baby steps. So we start with one meal a day for a week or two to make sure that's set in. Then we start layering in, different meals, snacks, I suppose hunger cues, what their body's telling them. It's a lot to unpack, so it takes a while because
That's huge.
if you really want it to last, it has to be done in a very manageable pace. So it's kind of yeah, there's a lot of interaction, a lot of consultation,
Mm.
one-on-ones, that kind of stuff. But that's the goal for people. It's not just read it off a piece of paper or click in an app. It has to be personalized and it has to be explained to that person and where they are in their life right now.
Yeah, and the accountability as well.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because with habit, like it's change, and that's huge. And as you said, like we all have to eat every day. So it
Mhm.
is a big change in our lives. And I love what you were saying about when you make a small change and you see the benefits, it kind of gives you that boost and esteem to then snowballs. And you can kind of see, okay, oh my God, my energy is a bit better, my mood's a bit better. I'm less stressed. Okay,
Yeah.
how can I build on this? And when we had a chat, Lucy, one thing that blew my mind. You said, when we're having our dinner, try and have three vegetables, right? And I was like, oh my God, three? I thought it was great having like broccoli and potatoes and chicken. But I've been thinking about it ever
Oh,
since.
good, good.
And I think about you all the time, Lucy. But I was like, I batch cook a lot, right? And I'm not
Yeah,
even going to talk about that today because that's a whole habit in itself,
yeah.
and that's a big habit.
And
And
it's a powerful habit. But
it's
yeah,
it's amazing, like because that's what I work with clients on to get a system around that. But we're kind of going back to baseline here. We're talking about the foods, but I'm a big fan of batch cooking curry and all those kind of dishes, and it's normally peppers and onions. And I was like, well, okay, I can throw peas in. That's three, and it's like I have this benchmark now. And I was channeling my inner Lucy there. I was making one of those dishes on Sunday. You kind of see them on Instagram, the rice, the cheese, the chicken stock, and there was like veg that you throw in.
Mhm.
And it was broccoli and tomatoes, baby tomatoes. And I was like, oh, I could throw in spinach. So it's just
Yeah.
stopping and
And
thinking, okay, can I
small
just get
little
one more
addition.
in,
Yeah, exactly. And that extra vegetable that you're adding is your fiber. So you're going to be increasing your fiber intake for the day. You're going to get a lot of the other micronutrients. So you'll get your vitamins and minerals from that. So like it's a massive win
Yeah.
for very little effort. Yeah. And hopefully more enjoyment because you're going to eat more good food.
Yeah.
So it's just how we have that narrative in our head, which is kind of the harder part, but just tipping away at it is the main thing. So having a minimum vegetable requirement for every meal is a great idea.
Yeah. And you were saying to double the amount, is it double the amount of veg to the carb?
Yeah, if you can. So I'd be very visual with a lot of people.
Yeah.
When I work with some people, I will talk quantity and we'll actually get a weighing scales out, and it's important that we understand what things look like. But for just being a little bit more kind of like this, I use my hand a lot of the time to help.
Hmm.
So you'd be saying two handfuls, like a cup like this. If you could
Hmm.
have two of those per meal of vegetables, and then
Okay.
you'd keep to one fist of carbs. That would be a
Okay.
great little way. Protein then is usually about the size of your palm and the thickness, and then your thumb would be for your fats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
So
it's wrapping your head around
yeah.
that
And like it's very
slowly.
hard because people think that if they didn't do it perfectly, they failed, but at least you're
Yeah.
giving yourself it's something to work towards or work it, as a kind of comparison thing to say, okay, did I have enough protein? Okay, I think it was about that size. Was it about that thick? Ideally a lean protein or a fish. Then you have your starchy carb. Okay, a fistful of rice isn't that much, but it's enough. And then
Yeah.
you bulk things up then with your vegetables, and that's where you're getting your real value because
And
what that
what you
fiber is
said
good.
there as well is if you don't do that for every meal, you haven't failed either. You know, it's a win if you get it done,
It's like
once or
anything. People are
twice a
like,
week.
oh, like last night I didn't get a chance to do much movement, so I went for a 15-minute walk.
Yeah.
15 minutes are better than no minutes, you know?
100%.
So everything, like we kind of tend it's all or nothing, and we really have to try and switch that narrative in our heads because
Yeah.
eventually it'll become 15 minutes a day will become my normal. So then all of
Yeah.
a sudden I might go, oh, I'll switch for half an hour today, whatever the case may be. But you have to be be um be accountable to yourself in that and be consistent.
Yeah, and it's slowly, isn't it? Like I'd be the same now. I'm kind of at that juncture in my life where I know, because I keep hearing it, that I need to probably start doing more intensive exercise and do weights.
I
I'm
wouldn't
not
say
there yet.
intensive. I wouldn't say intensive. I would say you
Okay.
probably have to have a variety on it and add some weight training into your routine. Doesn't
Yeah.
need to be intense. The word intense is probably misplaced anyway when it comes to exercise because we have so much access to social media now. We just think intense is people running around with no tops on and they're ripped and they're sweating but smiling and all this kind of stuff. Everyone's intensity is different, but it's not an integral part. You have to definitely raise your heart rate for no shadow of a doubt, but you can do that in a much simpler way as well. So, you know,
Yeah.
don't
And
always think it has to be crazy.
yeah, because I don't want to be ripped. Couldn't care less about that. Like I'm not like the weight, the driver for the weight thing for me would now be just the strength and the future proofing.
Yeah,
And
your
that's
bones,
something,
your muscle, yeah, all the
yeah,
important things.
yeah. And then that, because when I think about protein, I think about weight training, which I don't want to do, but that's not correct either, because
Yeah,
that's
well,
what I connect it with.
it always makes me laugh because when I started the gym 14 years ago, we started promptly as a CrossFit gym. So obviously at the time, CrossFit was very, I suppose the running joke was, how do you know someone does CrossFit? Oh, they'll tell you. It's kind of like there's always something topical. So everyone's like, oh my God, you're going to be so ripped and you're going to be all muscly. And I was like, guys, do you know how hard that is? Like how hard it is to get that kind of a physique. These people are training 3 times a day. They're
Yeah,
regiment on their food. They're sleeping a lot. Like it's just not that easy. You don't just pick up a barbell and get a body like that.
yeah,
But like that as well, when I said the aesthetics has completely transformed now for me, and like that, I think weight training, I think, oh, I'm going to keep my bones strong. So when I fall over, I don't break my hip.
yeah.
Or I'm going to keep my muscles so I can stay resilient. My metabolism is working for me. I'm managing my weight. I'm managing my mood. I think the endorphins, the happy feeling that I get from doing something that I couldn't do 6 weeks ago or 6 months ago. All these kind of really feel good factors. It's yeah, it's empowering to lift weights.
And
Definitely.
it's the headspace as well.
Mm.
Like you're taking time for you.
Yep.
You have a very busy business. You have two small kids, but you know you're taking that time for you to be healthier and
It's a
stronger.
non-negotiable. Yeah. Like I'll find half an hour somewhere and just do, it doesn't have to be a big massive session. If 20 minutes of lifting weights is plenty, if that's all
Yeah,
you can find. It doesn't need to be a 2 hour session the way we're taught to think or believe. But yeah, it's definitely great for the headspace. Definitely.
yeah, you need it. And then, as you said, when you have that done, you're showing up better in work and for
Yep.
your family.
Yep.
You know you have more to give because you're managing your energy and your stress. And it's all interconnected, isn't it?
Everything. Yeah, everything. So the way I kind of say when I break it down, there's kind of four pillars that we need to look at. The food, obviously, the quality and quantity, the movement. So it's not just that intense kind of hit kind of a class or, going for a 5K run. Your movement is everything, and it's incorporating the slow, gentle type of movement as well. So having a variety of through stretching, through yoga,
Yeah.
meditation, walking, running, weight training, resistance training. Then making training fun, so dancing, swimming, whatever makes you feel good. And then we look at the sleep. So sleep is
Mhm.
probably one that I never gave credit for. So like, I don't need to sleep. I'm fine. I can survive on 5 hours. I'm amazing. Yeah.
Superwoman.
Anyway. I don't know where I got that from. So the prioritizing good quality sleep. So trying to map out a good sleep routine, have your hygiene around your sleep. So, scrolling at nighttime, trying to set your room up. If you're in that menopause phase, you could be hot flushes, poor sleep, just giving yourself the best chances there.
Mhm.
Um, and then having your stress management. And that's always the one that people throw the eyes up and go, oh, just can't stop being stressed. That's not
Yeah.
what you need to work on. You need to work how you manage that stress. So stress is inevitable. When we don't have the
Yeah.
control and things are coming at us, it's how we can let those things impact us. So how we manage them. So finding a tool or a way to kind of work through those situations. Because if you're in a stressful situation, you don't handle it well, you go into your next
Mm.
part of the day stressed. So you react badly. You react badly triggers something in somebody else or yourself. Then you
Mm.
feel poor about it. So you eat something to make yourself feel better. That then in turn makes you feel rubbish. So then you're giving out to yourself. Then you're too tired to go and do any movement. And then you go to bed, you have a restless sleep, and you wake up the next morning low, feeling irritable, and it just keeps going, keeps
Spirals.
going. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like you need to find like a place to kind of break that circuit. So
Hmm.
that's why I always work with food first. Because as I said, it's a non-negotiable for all of us. And then once we start feeling the benefit of less snacking, blood sugar management, how our skin feels, how our hair feels, relationships with other people, just all these small little things that you can start seeing a change in, even after a few days, depending on where your diet is, can
Yeah.
then obviously feed into giving you the confidence, giving you the energy, then will encourage you to do other things as well. So,
Yeah. And I love that kind of framework where they're the four cornerstones, like you said,
mhm.
the food, the sleep, the exercise, and then stress management too. And that's kind of in the Life Work Balance Blueprint, which I'm delighted that you're going to be coming on in a couple of months. We're going to run it in January. But it's having that kind of strategic approach to it where you stand back and say, okay, these are huge components of my well-being, but I can't do it all at once. So how do we make a plan around it and understand like the stress? One thing we talk about is our stress triggers. Like what is triggering us? Like for me, I call myself a recovering perfectionist. So if I make a mistake, oh my God, like it's like the worst thing in the world. And I'm working with my therapist on this to manage anxiety, right? So that's your mental health.
Yeah.
So, a tool for me is actually getting outside for a walk. Like I
Yeah.
start my day before work with a 20-minute walk and I'm getting out
Super.
in nature and that's managing my stress. But in the moment, a stressful moment, like when the kids are having tantrums, I will do like a deep breath, like inhale for four, exhale for
Oh,
eight.
I'm big on the breathing, very much so. I really recommend everyone do it. But anyway,
And it's a
it's
habit.
so
That's a habit.
simple. So simple.
it's simple, and and these are the things that we talk about is how do we break down, okay, the bad habits that we have, we all know we have, but we don't want to change. And how do we build small habits or kind of swap them out?
Yeah.
Um, and it's having that kind of strategic approach. And when you start small with these slow changes, then it does build your self-esteem and your confidence, and you can keep going.
And I think it's important that all these little habits that we're creating are simple, that you
Yeah,
could just have them in your back pocket. You don't need a wearable, you don't need an app, you don't
yeah,
need, all these things to tell you you're doing well. It's something small that your body will tell you, your brain will tell you. You'll have that feeling. I think we've got very disconnected from that in the last, say, even post-COVID. I think we've got very disconnected with understanding how we are in our own bodies.
yeah.
We're too busy, we're anxious, we're stressed, we're tired, and we're relying on other people to tell us rather than
Mm.
just hold on now a minute. This is right, this is wrong, this feels good, this doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
My body is telling me it wants more because it's absorbing all this goodness, in so many different ways you can look at it.
Yeah, like I think we chase external validation so much. And even like I got rid of my Fitbit because and that's probably not the right thing to advocate, but
No,
for
no,
me,
no.
I was like, I just don't need another metric in my life that I'm
Yeah.
measuring success by.
Or
And I
to
was
tell
like,
you you haven't done your steps, so you
you haven't done
fail.
your 10,000 steps, you're a failure. And then I was like, well, then it's just, I'm not going to bother. And
Yeah.
then I won't move at all. Whereas, like, do you know what? A win for me is getting out 3 times a week for 20 minutes. And I'll try to do it most days if I can. But if I don't, do you know what? 3 days is great. And it's for my
Brilliant.
headspace. It's
Yeah.
not for losing weight anymore. That's what it was before. This is for my headspace
To
and to
ground you.
feel
Yeah.
good. And
Yeah.
I know then when I go into work, I'm more focused and my energy's better. So, like for me, that's a really good habit that I have. But I have other habits that I need to break, like my sleep hygiene. I know I need to get better at that, but I'm like, that's something I'm going to work on,
But you
next
can't
year.
work on everything at the same time.
No,
You can't. And
I'm
that's the
breaking
thing.
it down.
I
Yeah.
had a client last week and she was like, right, let's go. And I was like, okay, where are we going to start? She goes, oh, let's just do it all. And I was like, no, absolutely not, because you'll be here in 2 weeks' time, overwhelmed and probably, frustrated and upset because you've dropped the ball on something.
Yeah.
Let's just try and layer it in. And
Yeah.
it will layer it quite seamlessly. It'll all flow because it
Yeah.
does all flow, but it's just trying to not put that pressure on yourself to try and succeed in it straight away.
Yeah.
And
And
also, it's probably important, Eva, to mention as well, as we get older, it takes longer to see and feel results, unfortunately. We're not in our 20s, 2 weeks before we have a wedding or a black tie event, and we just, go on a diet and then we look amazing. It's kind of like I need to think this is going to take time, but it's going to be worth it and it'll last longer. But, I mightn't feel it after the first week. I mightn't feel it after the second week. I have to just stick with it, you
we
know?
want that instant gratification. Like, I just lost half a stone in a week. Like,
Yeah.
no, like but it's a mind shift and that's going to take time. But I
Yeah.
think more conversations like this, where we're just kind of saying, okay, where am I with my food? Where am I with my sleep? Where am I with my movement? And how do I start slowly to identify maybe what habits aren't the best and
I think, as you
where can
said,
I pull back?
exactly, even identifying it, having that chat with yourself and recognizing, okay, you know what, I probably could do a little better here, or I could make a swap here, or I could prioritize this. I'm not doing that, enough from myself. Even having those conversations with yourself can be hard
Yeah.
and can take time. So it's good that we're at least talking about it.
Yeah, and like and small changes, like even I found myself in the summer falling into the trap of having a glass of wine every day. So it's
Mm.
summer.
Yeah.
And and because I kind of have this habit framework where I just said, you know what, okay, just start pulling back every night,
Mm.
and then just like, okay, now it's the weekends. And now, maybe I might have a weekend where I don't have wine, but it's slowly kind of
Yeah.
pulling it back because that's not a great habit to have wine every day. But we're not saying don't have wine either. It's getting that
You know,
balance.
there's nothing wrong with having something. Everything has a place in life, if it's for celebratory reasons or because you're just feel like you need it, or that's okay. It's
Yeah.
just having it in the right proportions.
Exactly, because
The
I
hard
think
part, moderation.
moderation is not great with moderation, but it's I believe that the well-being space can be a bit overwhelming because it's kind of, oh, you know,
Oh,
cut out this, cut out that, no chocolate, no wine, no
I
crisps.
find it
And
very hard. I find it very hard. And I have knowledge that a lot of people don't have because that's where I've learned. But like it's so overwhelming. Oh, and you feel like you can't get it right and you try to do a little bit and then you drop the ball on something else or eat this and then don't eat that and then someone else say no, double down and eat double that and don't eat this and this is bad for you and this is going to make you, it's extremely hard.
it's
Extremely.
overwhelming. It really is. And it's almost like you want to have one single source of truth, which is, I think, you, because you cover it all holistically. Like you do the exercise, the food, the stress management, and it's also interconnected. But I love your approach of slow, small changes to future-proof your health. The last things I think I could probably talk to you all day because I learned so much from you. But with the protein,
Yes.
fad, like
No, it's
what is,
important. It's important.
yeah,
What's happened though is it's being monetized. So now everyone is jumping on the protein bandwagon. Our little joke in the gym is that there'll be protein bananas soon because
yeah,
they're sticking protein on everything.
yeah,
Um, no, it is extremely important. It is a non-negotiable when you're building out your meals, but
okay,
I suppose the quality of the protein that people are having and understanding that I suppose the portion sizing around that.
okay,
For a lot of people who don't or aren't aware of their protein, you just have to start incrementally building it and understanding how you can add it in and then you can add value. But what I don't encourage is people running out to the shops and buying three protein bars and a protein pudding and thinking that that's going to be a good source of protein for them for their bodies. Because
yeah.
whilst they're hitting their protein and they're ticking that box, they're also getting a lot of other things that they don't particularly need or their bodies won't work with well. It's part of
So
the big.
don't get sucked into the protein trap just
Yeah.
because there's protein on it. There's
Yeah.
probably just a few nuts in it. And what about the
And
protein
protein,
powders?
nuts aren't a source of protein. I don't,
What?
yeah, like it's an unfortunate thing. There is protein in nuts, don't get me wrong, but you shouldn't look at your nuts as a source of protein because people will overeat the nuts and they're
Yeah,
quite calorific.
calories. Yeah,
And then all of a sudden you're having a snack and it's 500 calories because you just had all your protein, but it's actually more of a fat. I would look at and seeds and nuts are amazing and they should be in your diet, but that's with the portion control.
of
And they
course.
should be a fat source, not a protein source.
And I give you a laugh, Lucy. I saw a recipe on Instagram and it was like a protein pizza, right? Where you swapped the base for it was like turkey mince and it was lovely, right? And there was like cheddar in it and this and that. But then I ate like loads of it and I think I probably ate the whole thing and I think I had about like 4,000 calories or something. So I was like, that wasn't the best move. Maybe
Yeah.
have two pieces of it.
Keeping it simple is the key. Keeping it simple. I think we have gotten into a kind of a stage of life where we think that our meals should all be Instagrammable, and everything should be really like amazingly fancy. And like we should probably lean back into our parents and grandparents' generation of like meat and three veg.
Yeah, there you go.
And just keep it a little simpler. It doesn't have to be the most amazing meal of your life every meal.
Yeah,
There's time and a place for that, don't get me wrong, and the ceremony around the cooking of the meal and getting your family involved in the preparation and all that is beautiful. But otherwise, if you're short on time and you are keeping it as simple as possible, just look at your foods and go, okay, this is my really good protein and this goes really well with this carb and this fiber and I'll add my fat here, keeping it unsaturated as much as possible.
yeah.
It's yeah, I think we've
Just have a pizza. Like, you know what I mean? Have a pizza, like, it's
just have
grand.
pizza. Yeah.
Just scrap
And keep,
the
keep the
chicken
turkey
pasty.
mince for a turkey bolognese and
Yeah,
just enjoy the
and
pizza.
enjoy your pizza. So I was like, you know what? I was just getting carried away with the. I was like, oh, protein, and I was like,
And
no,
they
do you
make
know
it
what?
look so simple and yummy and it's all edited and gorgeous looking in their beautiful clean kitchen.
Yeah,
Just keep it simple.
keep it simple. Yeah. So with protein, good sources are you were saying natural yogurt.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Greek yogurt or natural yogurt.
Yeah,
It's a very good protein source. It's a great way to get your calcium, which is important for our bones. And if it's got some live cultures in it, it's a probiotic, which is your fiber, which
yeah,
is your gut health, which then leads into the fiber side of things. So we wanna keep the bugs in your tummy happy. So we
yeah.
know to put in the good bugs with the probiotics. So if you can do that with your yogurt, that's a great start.
Yeah, so just, that's a good small change
Yeah.
is to just try and introduce that into your diet a
And
bit
the
more.
taste of it mightn't be for everybody, so that's where you can get a little creative. You can add in your little bit of honey, you can add in a small bit of protein powder, but add a little bit of flavor, and put in your nut butters to mix it up, and just try and think about layering the foods rather than thinking, the base has to be the sweet part or the savory part. Like keep that as your non-negotiable and then add in your layers and your flavors.
Yeah,
So I'm a big fan of herbs and spices. They're completely underutilized. There's so many different ones out there and they can change a dish so easily, So it's just kind of having them in your kitchen is key. So a lot of
yeah,
the time when I work with clients, it's like, okay, what's in the presses? Have you got, a lot of perishable and unperishable foods where they look kind of frozen foods, frozen vegetables are a big one. We don't use
love them.
them. There's nothing wrong with frozen berries or frozen fruit or frozen veg. Having your legumes in your tins, your chickpeas, your kidney beans, your butter beans, your lentils, having your, brown rice, whole grain pasta, just having them
Small
there
stuff.
so you
Yeah,
can't say to yourself, there's nothing to eat in the press.
yeah.
And then, you can change the cuisine. You can do an Italian mix. You can do a Chinese five spice. You can do a Thai. You
Yeah.
can go tins of tomatoes, whatever. And you can just be a bit creative rather than being overwhelmed. Just keep it simple.
No, but curries. I'm telling you, I'm the biggest fan of curries because like they're so easy and I I only use when I'm batch cooking curries, frozen peppers and onions because it's easy, and
And it's
there's no
already chopped
waste.
and there's
Yeah.
no mix and it's brilliant. Yeah.
And like I said, it's spices. So it's so healthy and like wholesome and you can freeze it and but I won't get into batch cooking because I'm very passionate about it. But just those simple things that you're sharing, just bring it back to basics
And we're
and
coming into the winter now, so it's stew and soup season. So it's a
yeah.
great opportunity to pack in the veg and the fiber and the goodness and yeah, bulk it up, bulk it
Is
up.
it this is probably I should know this. 5 a day. Is that five fruit and veg combined?
Yeah,
Okay, it's not five of each.
no, no.
I was like, come on, because even that's a lot.
I'd love if it was five of each, 5 a day. To get the required amount of fiber for our age, so kind of like 40 up, you want to be hitting about 25 to 30 grams of fiber a day. And to give
Okay,
context, one kiwi is about 4 grams of fiber.
okay,
You want to be eating a lot of kiwis if you want to be hitting your fiber intake. So we really have to just be quite aware of how we can get our fiber and then do our
yeah,
best to get that into every meal. It's
and
probably, I think about I must check the stats, about 80% of women are under eating their fiber,
mm,
which is obviously leading to poor gut health, which leads to digestive issues, a lot of autoimmune conditions.
mm,
There's a lot of connections now between our mood and our gut,
yes,
the gut brain connection, the vagus nerve. Like there's a lot of research and evidence coming out to show that protein is important, but fiber is as important. And it's one thing I'm really trying to advocate for is just to help people, especially women, just put more fiber in their meals, you know?
and that would be fiber. Would that be like brown rice, brown pasta?
Yeah, most things with the crunch, bar your
Yeah,
crisps, unfortunately, fresh food.
yeah,
So most vegetables and fruit, like even things surprisingly like avocado are quite high in fiber.
yeah,
And obviously they're a great source of unsaturated fat as well, and they're very good for satiety. You've got a lot of your berries are very high. Then you've got your chia seeds and your flax seed, which are obviously quite popular at the moment as well for overnight oats. Porridge itself has got very good for fiber. So yeah, it's just trying to think vegetables, fruit, whole grains, simple things.
yeah.
Simple.
And then kind of going back to it kind of goes full circle that when your digestion is better, your mood's better, your weight stables as well. fast,
Yeah.
so it's
It
like
has
we're,
a lot of bloating as well. So what I will say, when you are increasing your fiber intake, you need to drink more water.
yes,
You, so a lot of people will get a lot of tummy cramping and bloatedness and gassy. So try to just increase the water with that. Your body will adjust. It's not going to be forever, but a lot of the time people pull back because they don't like the discomfort. So if you can try and keep the water intake up with that,
yeah,
and don't just go all or nothing, kind of like build it up throughout the weeks, rather than just going from no fiber to all the fiber overnight. Just
yeah.
try, yeah.
Baby steps. Because it is when we look at our nervous system, the stress state, of cortisol, and then the rest and digest, the calm state. Like
Mhm.
when we are a bit calmer managing our stress, we are digesting our food better as
Yeah.
well. That's going to
Yeah.
manage your weight. And it's
Yeah.
all just so interconnected.
100%.
Um,
Yeah.
oh, so Lucy, thank you so much. I think there's so many
We could keep
takeaways.
talking for hours, in
I
fact.
know, I love this because I'm understanding it myself. Because if I'm honest, like I'd say I'm halfway into my well-being journey. I know that my sleep hygiene needs to get better, but I also know that I'm not going to get up really early in the morning if I'm not going to bed earlier in the evening because we do need to. I know that, right? So I just need to go to bed earlier, but I'm working on it. I know it, and I will. I'm
You're
going to
good. You're
focus on it
aware.
more. And I
Yeah.
know next year I am going to start weight training slowly. So these are kind of my next year goals. Like for
Yeah.
now, I'm just maintaining my walking and I'm doing yoga, and that's good as good enough,
That's brilliant.
And
Yeah, that's really good. And it's better from not doing it at all. And then you know you are building and working towards something else.
I have a
So
plan,
yeah.
and I understand it, and that's good. And but I see the benefits of the walk. I see the benefits of eating well, and but there are other eating habits that I probably need to work on. Like I still have chocolate at 10 o'clock at night while I watch Netflix.
That's okay. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, but
Yeah.
not normalizing it and thinking, okay, I'm aware that I'm eating this chocolate right now. Do I need it? Do I need it every night? Can I substitute it? That kind of thing.
We have it
But
every second night,
don't
and
not
then
have the chocolate, just don't have it all the time.
that's it. It's baby steps. And then I just think what you were saying about stress as well, like how can we identify that and figure out tools to manage it? And then that all interconnects with the food and the movement and the sleep, and the goal is to manage your stress so that you do have more energy to show up to, like, our careers are still important to us. We want to
Yeah.
perform in our businesses or in our jobs, but we also want to be connected and present for our kids and have energy
That's
for
what I was
that.
just going to say. I was going to layer that in as well, is that everything we do, they're watching, they're seeing it, they're living it, they're absorbing it, so that we can lead by example. I think that's a big part of, for my daughter especially. I just want her to
Yeah,
feel she can do all these things and that they're normal. And you know, I want to be strong. Like
yeah,
I want to be strong like my mum. She doesn't say I want to be strong like my dad. She says I want to be strong like my mum. I'm like,
I
that's
love
so
that.
cool. I love
That
that.
is amazing. And I think it's hard for us because we're trying to break out of norms, like the social norms that we discussed earlier on about
Mhm.
prioritizing our well-being and putting ourselves first as opposed to looking at everyone else first. So we're kind of trying to break that cycle. But the reason is we're modeling it for our kids. So
Yeah.
then the cycle's broken for them.
Yeah.
So it's really brave what you're doing, and doing it differently, but role modeling it for your daughter, for your kids, but also for other women and helping
Yeah.
women in our situation who've been fed such a load of crap
It's
about
quite
food and how
upsetting
we
when I
need to look.
hear the stories that I hear, and I relive things that I did myself and I was
Yeah,
told myself. We
yeah,
really just have to kind of break, as you said, break it, stop it, do our best to say no, we're not doing that anymore. We have to change the rewrite the story.
you write the
Yeah.
story, and be kind to ourselves and do it
Mhm.
slowly, right? Because it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time.
And as I said earlier, I'm so excited to have you on the blueprint and the Life Records blueprint to really break this down into small steps to start and get on the journey. But if anyone listening today wants to start working with you and start now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
So they can reach out to me on my Instagram page, NuMe_collective. So NuMe stands for Nutrition, Understanding, Movement, and Education. So
Love it.
just kind of, they're my pillars, they're the things I really work by. They can reach out to me there. My website, numecollective.ie. or even through you, if they want to get in touch with you, you can put me
Yeah,
in touch with them.
100,
And
yeah.
yeah, I always start off with a very easy, casual chat just to see where they're at and how I can help. And there's never any pressure, there's never judgment. It's just me there to be support, bit of guidance, and we talked about the accountability. I think that's a big part of it as well.
That is, yeah. And I love that what you said at the start. I've walked the road before you.
Oh,
Like I know it. I've learned
it's a
the hard way.
well-worn path.
Yeah. And I'm the same with my clients. It brings that level of empathy, where you're like, here, I've been there.
Relatability as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and accountability and a kind ear. So Lucy, thank you so
Thank
much for
you. Thank you
coming
so
on
much for that.
today. Like all the tips that you've shared and just the education and we just reprogram and start slowly and just think you're meeting three veg. Like let's go back
Veg.
to
I
basics.
love that.
Three
I
veg.
love that. Start with just three veg in every meal and you'll be
Yeah. And even if you're only working it up from one to two, baby steps, and then to get to your three, that's a good benchmark to get to. And if you do it once a week, great. Slowly and good is good enough.
exactly.
But Lucy, thank you so much, and thank you everyone who listened today. I hope you got some great tips. I know I have, and I am looking forward to catching you on the next episode. Okay. I'm there. Hold on now. I think I can just edit that. I don't think I can just, I'll stop recording here.